Who's ready to rock today, Fire Nation? JLD here, and welcome to Entrepreneurs on Fire, brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network with great shows like The Shakeup. Today, we'll be focusing on investment science, scientifically sound consulting and investing. To drop these value bombs, I brought Michael Kelly into EO Fire Studios. Michael is the founder of Investment Science. He has a ton of experience engaging in banking technologies and changing organizations holistically through individuals, operations, and technology. Investment Science comprises proven subject matter specialists in banking, technology, economics, and life sciences who are willing to provide the company with the clarity and exposure it requires to handle the unique world we all find ourselves in. In Fire Nation, we'll talk today about how to boost productivity, what financial authors and publications are flat out missing. We're going to talk about population levels and so much more when we get back from thanking our sponsors. Fire Nation, are you finally ready to publish a book the right way? Kevin Anderson and Associates can help. For a limited time, they're offering Fire Nation a free 90-minute consultation to discuss writing and publishing your book in just 6 months. Visit kawriting.com/fire to schedule your free 90-minute consultation today. That's kawriting.com/fire. Hiring can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but when you post a job on ZipRecruiter, their matching technology finds these qualified candidates for you and invites them to apply. So while other companies give you too many options, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/fire. Michael, say what's up to Fire Nation and share something that you believe about becoming successful that most people disagree with.
Fire Nation, how are you? Mike Kelly from Investment Science. I would tell all the listeners here that in order to be successful, two things people may not know. You need debt, and you need to have some type of beachhead strategy, meaning a very specific focus and a very niche, and reach your thresholds, go to the top of that to get there.
And Fire Nation, this is what we're really going to be breaking down here today. I mean, you heard me introduce Michael at the beginning of the show, so you know a lot about him through that bio. We're talking about investment science, scientifically sound consulting, and investing. So I sort of dive into a question that I personally have is, how do individuals, Michael, and firms, how do they stay on top of the latest and greatest when it comes to trends?
You just have to go and read white papers in your chosen field, whether it's statistics or business. And there's a lot of theories out there, and try to see what do you think would happen in the future and why. And that's actually how our company's been relatively successful, in that we learned about data science about 12 years ago, in 2009, during the crisis, when people were just thinking about these things in concepts. And this, the past few years, that's all everyone's talking about now. And it's like, well, what's going to happen in the next 10 years? I truly believe it will be a lot of no-code programming, drag and drop screens, even like you see with some website builders like Weebly and Wix, but programming will become less relevant. It's more about the business idea, not even about the code anymore. So can you think of a business idea? Can you monetize that? Can you simplify it? And you should be successful, but you also have to understand the financials. So a lot of these startups out there, they raise all this money and they spend it on staff, and they don't come from a financial services background. So it goes down to treasury management, right? And this doesn't even go into a robo-advisor. This goes down to, if you had $100, every dollar should be invested differently, and that you could have 1% to 2% in Bitcoin. No more than that. It's highly volatile. You could have some more money in bonds that pay in currencies on different maturity dates, which really means all those currencies tie to different things. They go up and down. And especially if you raise enough money as an entity, I'm not talking about an individual, but as an entity, you could invest 1% to 2% in different hedge funds and private equity firms, very sophisticated investments, to more or less already have a profitable company before you even start spending. A lot of people take that money and they just don't even set up treasury. So if you take a step back, what do we just say? Stay on top of the trends, read white papers, set up your treasury department, Think of a product that you can monetize, keep it simple, and innovate.
In Fire Nation, one thing that I loved that Michael talked about was, can you simplify it? I mean, so many people try to complicate everything, but it's the opposite. It's simplifying things. It's making things simple because that's going to make things better. And why? Because how you use your time is everything, also known as being productive. So Michael, let's speak to that. How can firms, and maybe even just individuals in general, boost productivity?
I think many firms don't really understand the fact that even in high pressure environments, like I come from banking or even in the military, there are some people who are introverted, and it's about 1/3 of the population, right? So those introverts would be better off working from home. And then there's some people that obtain energy that are extroverted to be around people. So identify the introverts, identify the extroverts. Obviously, you need to make money, but don't fully focus on money. There's a corporate culture. There's all the different people, hipster, hacker, executor. That's in Silicon Valley world, but that applies to corporate as well. Do the people work well together? So you could have a brilliant business idea, but if the team doesn't gel and you're not managing your finances properly, but if you're also overly focusing on finances, you're not going to succeed. It's like reversion to the mean. Things move back to the average. Don't be too extreme on either end, somewhere in between the two.
So Fire Nation, it can sometimes be between the two. And I love how you really have to have that focus on the things that matter and doing those things and then saying, hey, what things can I just take off the plate? What things aren't really moving the needle? What things aren't really part of that 80-20 Pareto's principle? And there are some very, very famous financial authors out there. They publish all the time, books, posts, they're being interviewed on TV, and just publications in general. What, Michael, are every single one of them missing?
We're actually writing a book that should be out next year, and it's touching these topics. So unfortunately, and this is for everybody, there's so much information out there and anybody could publish anything, and it's very hard to know what's correct or what's real. So for example, even many famous financial authors will talk about, this is where you get or obtain the best interest rate. They talk about the theory. We'll talk about where do you actually get it from in the book. And they'll talk about some things like technical indicators, Bollinger Bands, for example, or a moving average, right? That's a kernel estimator or a smoother. They talk about the mathematics, but then they don't say, let's test it across everything. And we could give you some of those outputs in our book and actually say, look, here's the theory, but does it actually work? So it's too much theory, but it's not enough hands-on. But then when you have too much hands-on, there's not enough understanding of how it works. Blend the two, and then you know where to go to get things, and then you know why do these things work from evidence-based facts rather than just, I don't want to use buzzwords, but just basic theory or basic too much of the example, somewhere between the two again.
Fire Nation, how can you get to evidence-based facts? How can you base your decisions off of those, not theory, as Michael was just talking about? And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I mean, population levels. We're actually going to get more detailed about what investment science is, and so much more when we get back from thanking our sponsors. Recent data shows that of all female-owned businesses, it is estimated that 1 in 3 is owned by a mom. Ever wonder how these amazing moms and dads find the time to hire for their business while juggling their families? They do it with ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/fire. CEO and founder Talia Goldstein is one such mompreneur. Besides being a mother of 2, her personalized matchmaking company, 3 Day Rule, is constantly growing, and she needs to hire several matchmakers a month, so she uses ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful technology helps her find people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply. But Talia is not the only employer who loves ZipRecruiter. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Just visit ziprecruiter.com/fire. This special offer is available right now at ziprecruiter.com/fire. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Fire Nation, do you realize the value being a published author brings to your business? As one myself, I can honestly say a lot. So if you've ever considered writing a book but feel like you don't have the time, writing ability, or idea to make it a success, then I've got great news for you. Kevin Anderson and Associates is an industry-leading, all-inclusive book writing firm that can help you go from no book to published author in as little as 6 months. Kevin's team has launched 19 #1 New York Times bestsellers and hundreds of national best-selling books. You'll be able to work directly with those who helped launch the careers of the biggest names in the book business, including Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Robert Kiyosaki, and many more. It doesn't matter where you are in the book writing process. Kevin's team will guide you through every step of writing your book and developing a customized publishing strategy to exceed your wildest expectations. In as few as 8 hours of your time, Kevin Anderson and Associates can gather all the intel they need to write and publish your book the right way in as quickly as 6 months. If you're ready to establish yourself as the authority in your area of expertise, Kevin is currently offering you, Fire Nation, a free 90-minute publishing consultation call. Visit kawriting.com/fire to schedule your free consultation today, available for a very limited time. That's kawriting.com/fire. So Michael, we're back, and before the break, I was teasing the topic I want to get into next, which is all about population levels. I mean, these things are compounding at crazy, crazy rates. What specifically is wrong with population levels, and how do you propose we fix this?
With the population levels we have today, it mimics Japan as a case study. And it just means millennials, and I myself am one, they're on average not having children. Because if you survey many of them, and this is also in the book that's coming out next year, it has to do with prices being too high amongst inadequate job opportunities and things of that nature.
Well, it's that though, and it's also just basically based on things where that used to be the trend. Like forever, China, like you could only have one kid, or then you got fined heavily, and so they just created this culture of only being able to have one child for generations. And now, they bumped it up to 2 because they're in massive, massive problems because, they're not being able to, their younger generation can't now support this this imbalance, this just inequity that exists now. And they just recently, I think it was a month ago maybe, opened up to 3 now. So they went from, you can only have 1, this is saving the country, to now you can have 2, to please, please, please have 3 kids because we need you to have more kids. So kind of talk about that. What is wrong with the population levels today, and what are some ways that we can fix this?
Yeah, and even to your point with China, I mean, they're trying to get people to have more, but some of it even has to do with the inflation levels, and we'll get back to children and how more people could have them. It has a lot to do with Amazon, right? A lot of shopping's done online, so that pushes down inflation. International trade, that pushes prices down, so prices are down more. And the governments around the world have been ultra low interest rates to fight inflation, to actually create inflation. And then today, we have short-term inflation from wood tripling and labor issues from all the payments of people out of work that are not going back to work. So that creates wages rising, prices rising. Even in the suburbs, there's basically a housing bubble that will burst. And when we get back to how to have them have children, it's more in regards to the fact of how the military does it. I think it's called bot pay, where they look at how many children you have and you get payment for that. And that would kind of help some of the financial burdens. And then it's doing the mathematics, conducting the mathematics, saying, okay, these children have been paid for, and then the tax basis for those children as they grow up will increase. Because it's just, things are too expensive on average, and governments are trying to solve it, but they continue to print, and then people talk about, Bitcoin and things like that, and then you talk to people in banking, and they say you can't speak for everybody, but it's all just a game in a way, that people are just diving into the latest thing because it's the latest, but some of the residuals will remain, even the Federal Reserve stating they might create a digital currency.
Fire Nation, this is some serious stuff. These are things that we're going to be dealing with for not just the foreseeable future, for all time. And I think it's just a topic that's interesting to talk about and think about, because these are problems we need to solve. Now, I want to get deep into investment science. So really break this down for us, Michael. For myself, for Fire Nation, for the layman, the laywoman, what is investment science and why should firms go into this field? What's the benefit?
Sure. So investment science itself is technically a holding company for projects that we want to work on. So if we zoom back to 2009, we created a robo-advisor before people were really talking about those things. $100 to invest, different financial products, timeframe strategies. That will be more on the consumer side a few years down the road. That's just to get people excited. That's how we learned all this automation. And then over the past decade, we've been able to save some firms billions of dollars in savings, millions of dollars. If we zoom in on more on employee morale, just by letting some people work from home, we boosted productivity up to 40%. Applying the latest trends in technology like agile project management or researching, hey, use this technology for your department. Even if it's the best technology, your department may not have the skill set. So we're objective in the fact that we have no strategic ties to vendors. But if we have some partnerships with companies, we'll tell you up front. Many other institutions, unfortunately, they have strategic ties to vendors. So, for example, if a company audits Amazon, that's a consulting firm. You're spending all this money. You want results, objective advice, expertise. They can't give that to you because they audit them. We can give you the purely objective advice. And the third sphere of our company is more with the affiliations we have with small startups seeking funding or alternative investment vehicles for high net worth individuals and or family offices, venture capitalists, things of that nature. We could connect people to those instruments, which really means, in simple terms, we could connect investors that are well sophisticated to models, to entrepreneurs, to large funds that are seeking capital and things of that nature. It's like a two-sided marketplace for everybody.
So, Michael, we talked about a lot today. We talked about investment science, about what you do. We talked about population levels, these crazy rates that are happening. We talked about what every financial author and publication are missing. We talked about being more productive. And what I want you to do now is take a step back. Share with our listeners the one key takeaway from everything we talked about that you really want to make sure our audience walks away with. Then give us any way that we can connect with you, any call to action you might have for us. And then we'll say goodbye.
Sure. Yeah, it's more just objective consulting without compromise, right? No strategic ties to vendors. Investment science, scientifically sound consulting and investing, and that we could connect you to the right contact depending on what you need, and not much more to it other than the call to action would be visit our website at www.investment.com or give us a call at 917-512-9523. Thank you so much for having me.
Fire Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And you've been hanging out with MK and JLD today, so please keep up that heat. And if you head over to eofire.com and type Michael in the search bar, the show notes page will pop up with everything we've been talking about here today. And Michael, one more time, give us that URL and phone number.
That is www.investment, one word, SCY.com, or you could give us a call at 917-512-9523.
That's a phone number, Fire Nation. Dial those digits, make that phone call. Fortune favors the bold. And Michael, thank you for sharing your truth, your knowledge, your value with Fire Nation today. For that, we salute you, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you.
Hey, Fire Nation. Today's Value Bomb content was brought to you by Michael. And are you ready to rock your very own podcast? Well, if so, check out our free, that's FREE, podcasting course, where I teach you how to create and launch your podcast for free. Freepodcastcourse.com, freepodcastcourse.com. I will catch you there, Fire Nation, or I'll catch you on the flip side. Fire Nation, are you finally ready to publish a book the right way? Kevin Anderson and Associates can help. For a limited time, they're offering Fire Nation a free 90-minute consultation to discuss writing and publishing your book in just 6 months. Visit kawriting.com/fire to schedule your free 90-minute consultation today. That's kawriting.com/fire. Hiring can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but when you post a job on ZipRecruiter, their matching technology finds these qualified candidates for you and invites them to apply. So while other companies give you too many options, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/fire.